Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. Today's briefing is about not just the mendacity of political creatures in Florida, but a number of things. Pay close attention, because I may not be going with this in the direction you might think I am. The reason that I'm making this the subject of this morning's briefing is because I believe this case represents an opportunity to show you the difference between how the white media reports on a story and how the black media actually informs you of events.
On to a bizarre scene you saw exclusively first on Local 10 News, a chaotic commission meeting that included the mayor's purse being searched by police. A Pembroke Park commissioner accused the mayor of having a gun. It is the latest political drama in this small town of only 6,000. And Local 10 News investigator Jeff White's here on this case again for us, live with it all. Jeff.
Calvin, the commission meeting was well underway. About an hour in, Pembroke Park's police chief interrupts. And what happens next is something we have never, ever seen in a meeting like this.
This is unprecedented, so I apologize for the interruption. Commissioner Jacobs, there was a call from BSO that you called.
I did.
Complaint.
Commissioner Jeffrey Jacobs had called the Broward Sheriff's Office, but he wasn't willing to talk about why on the dais in this public meeting.
It's inappropriate for being on the dais. So we can take a recess and you and I can discuss.
I don't know what the...
I don't think we need a recess. What's the issue?
FDLE has already been notified as well.
There was a recess. Jacobs met with Pembroke Park's police chief and other staff, and when everyone returned...
The police have been called because there is an allegation by the commissioner that I have a weapon on me, particularly that I have a gun on me.
Mayor Ashira Muhammad allowed the chief to search her purse. Even the chief appeared uncomfortable.
I just want to put on record that you don't have to do this.
The chief searching the mayor's purse right in the commission chambers. Commissioner Jacobs is silent, looking down as this is going on. The mayor clearly showing that there's nothing hidden on her body as well. The meeting continued, and Jacobs never says a word about it after. What did you do? What did you say that would lead him to think that you even had a gun?
We didn't have any conversation at all. This isn't the first complaint he's filed on me.
Mayor Muhammad had plenty to say to Jacobs after being searched for a gun.
You have gone around telling people I've stolen money. You've gone around telling people I'm going to jail. You've lied and accused people of having affairs on this dais, and it needs to stop.
As we have reported, an independent investigation earlier this year concluded Jacobs, who is the former mayor, created a hostile work environment. He was publicly censured for his conduct.
We are constantly being beat down by one person on this dais.
As far as accusing the mayor of having a gun?
I think it's ridiculous, and I think that at this point, you need to seek professional help. Because I've never done anything to you. This has to stop.
Jacobs is absolutely silent, referring us to his attorney who didn't return calls or emails today. The call he made to BSO not released to us today. We are told it's part of an investigation. A source telling me this afternoon the police are looking into whether Jacobs called BSO without any cause whatsoever.
Is anyone shocked that this is happening in Ron DeSantis' Florida? Pembroke Park, Florida seems to have a recurring problem with a particularly argumentative member of the town commission. Now, there's no word of this clown being arrested or charged with filing a false complaint to the police, and the mayor hasn't made any demands for that either. So once again, as we've seen with so many other cases, you have black people who refuse to actually hold these reprobates to account. This is why you don't see me going on any crusades for these people. I sit back and wait to see what they're doing. I'll comment on these events, I'll point out the corruption, but I don't make it a point to say that something needs to be done for them. Because in too many cases, we've come riding to the rescue only to have the victim turn right around and say, I forgive, I don't want anything done, I just want to move on, no harm, no foul. I guess this woman, Mayor Muhammad, figures that if she takes down some good old boy, that might hurt her chances to get campaign funds from the other bigots down there. Mayor Muhammad has already tried and failed to run for state representative in the Florida legislature, so clearly she's trying to climb that Florida political ladder. And not for nothing, but on her would-be legislative campaign website, when she gave a listing of her qualifications, she mentioned that she was a lawyer. And the very first thing she said about her legal experience was that she had worked in the areas of immigration. We'll get back to the failure of the black misleadership class in a moment, but it's actually this Jacobs person that I think is interesting to look at. This is a typical case of small-town chaos. The prior police chief of Pembroke was a friend of Jacobs. In fact, Jacobs was the one who got him the job. He was the first police chief the town had ever had. Previously, they had been relying on the sheriff's department for their law enforcement needs. But now that they've had this police department, their first chief got fired less than a year on the job. He had been recommended by Jacobs, and he got bounced. And the reason that the town commission gave? They wanted to go in a different direction. See, they didn't need a reason to fire him, so they just told him hit the bricks. I actually liked that part. The town chose a black woman to be his replacement. Obviously, this internet troll calling itself a town commissioner didn't take that very well. He threw a tantrum on his Facebook page, attacking the town commissioners as having missed the mark by selecting the least qualified candidate for police chief, Rashana Dabney Donovan. Worse still, this move has unfortunately reintroduced racial bias into our community through the very institution meant to protect us. We must strive for better leadership and insist on equality in Pembroke Park. Least qualified? Introducing racial bias? Sounds like he's giving his own personal biography. That's what these racially privileged punks do, try to get attention off of themselves by accusing everyone else of what they're doing. Now keep in mind, that was back in September, just 2 months ago. So 60 days ago, he was saying that the new police chief was the least qualified candidate, was introducing racial bias, and the city needed to strive for better leadership. And what did he do when he wanted to pull some stupid stunt? He called the police chief, who he said was unqualified for the job. Though maybe he does have a point because this police chief hasn't done anything about his false police complaint. If she was competent, she would have arrested him right then and there, on camera, and charged him. Or at the very least, in the days afterwards. So far, though, nothing. Hell, maybe Jacobs was right. To let someone make a false complaint, to have town resources wasted on a person who you know from experience is an extremist clown, and then to do nothing about it, well, that's certainly not competent. All of this empty chatter about, it needs to stop. They've got the ability to stop it themselves, but they don't want to. Clearly, they must think that they're getting some sort of political profit out of this circus. But you want to know what makes his attacks on the police chief and his false accusation about the mayor having a gun even more ironic? Jeffrey Jacobs used to be a cop. Not in Florida, but in Arizona. He was a state trooper in Arizona, and he even worked in Maricopa County. Yeah, the same county made infamous by the arch-white supremacist sheriff Joe Arpaio. Jacobs was a state trooper. That is, until he got himself embroiled in a lurid scandal involving the head of the state trooper's daughter. The allegations of what occurred between them would make Hugh Hefner blush, and of course Jacobs denies all wrongdoing. You can look that up for yourself and read it online, but suffice to say, the head of the state troopers decided to make a pet project out of getting this clown fired, which he did. In 2009, Jeffrey Jacobs was fired in disgrace from the state troopers and decertified. Now, when a police officer gets themselves fired and decertified in Joe Arpaio's neck of the woods, then you know they're stupid as a sack of hammers. Arizona is notorious for how they never take action against police for misconduct. So even his own police colleagues in a state and county where they always circle the wagons for the thugs in blue threw him overboard in a heartbeat. Oh, but it's everyone else's fault to hear him tell it. He's just such a victim. This is the guy who thought it would be a great idea to make a false accusation about someone having a gun. And speaking of accusations, he's been making plenty of them, claiming that he's uncovered all kinds of corruption. Quote, I've been uncovering all the wrongdoings. If I find anything illegal, immoral, or unethical, it will be reported. Nothing worse than a male Karen. So far, there's been plenty of accusations from Jacobs, but he still has yet to score any wins on that front. For instance, he claimed improper record keeping in regards to a $2.3 million loan from the U.S. Department of Agriculture from 10 years ago. The USDA responded to this accusation by saying that Pembroke Park completed the sewer system work and that the loan had been properly repaid. Jacobs, however, is complaining that he can't find any records of that. Now, given how this guy falsely claimed that the mayor of the city had brought a gun into the town hall, with no evidence whatsoever, mind you, does anyone want to lay odds that he's right about this accusation? Now, Pembroke Park is a really small town. It's only got a little over 6,000 residents. And when you look at the demographics according to the census, Pembroke Park is majority black. 51% of the population, which, by the way, makes them far and away the majority of the ethnic groups in that area. Pembroke is a black town, but you wouldn't know it by looking at the town's leadership. The white population is only 27% there, but makes up 3 out of the 5 seats on the town commission. And the first police chief was white also. There's a lot of immigrants there, people from Haiti and other immigrant backgrounds. A total failure of black political leadership has demoralized the electorate. I think you might recognize the strutting peacock with the cowgirl hat. That's Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. She's been in Congress since forever and produced what? Apparently she shows up to swear in the black females for the town commission and pose for the cameras. Pembroke Park also has a poverty rate of over 27%. So over a quarter of the town's population lives in poverty. And given the political makeup of the city's leaders, we can guess who that quarter of the population most consists of. The black residents of Pembroke Park need economic empowerment, but the only thing their misleadership class is offering is black girl magic. And they wonder why idiots like this Jacobs clown feels like he can attack them full-time with no repercussions. Add in a mayor who clearly is eyeing the exits and just waiting to see when she can go to Tallahassee or D.C., and you got a recipe for voters who just stay home on election day. One of the white town commissioners actually ran completely unopposed. See, the talking heads on cable and the old heads in the black community can chatter about people need to vote all they want. But there's a reality there. At some point, votes have to translate into tangible results for the voters. And in Pembroke Park, they don't. No matter what the olders may try to tell themselves, the biggest threat to black voter turnout isn't Republicans and their asinine voter police or new voter laws. We have faced far worse than these half-brained attempts to reenact Jim Crow. If black people want to vote, I mean for real want to vote, then there's nothing that the GOP can do to stop us. Except for the clear record of black politicians who are simply playing the game and producing nothing for us. We've seen it in Detroit, in Baltimore, and other places. Now, getting back to this Jacobs character, you won't be surprised to learn that he's been investigated by the town for a long-standing litany of racial, bigotry, and other hostility, and it was determined that he has been engaged in a long history of racial, ethnic, and sexist hostility. Even the white male members of the commission don't like him. In Pembroke Park, each member of the commission has a department that they're given authority over. But currently, Commissioner Jacobs hasn't been allowed to have any departments to run. So his job description is basically come to the town hall, make a fool of himself, repeat. He's done everything he can to turn the entire city government against him. And as said earlier about his time with the Arizona State Troopers, he makes enemies everywhere he goes. But he insists it's not his fault, it's everybody else. When the only common denominator in all these fiascos is him. Now, at this point, I'm sure a lot of you have already guessed his political affiliation, especially given his asinine behavior in Ron DeSantis' Florida. I'm sure you know exactly what political party he's with. And you would be wrong. Jeffrey Jacobs is a Democrat. He was a Democrat when he lived in Arizona, too. He ran for a seat on the Maricopa County Justice Courts, and of course he lost that race, too. And he's still a Democrat today, according to online voter registration records. So this isn't some sawed-off Republican doing all this mess. This is a long-time Democrat. And of course he runs around wearing a shirt that says First Amendment on the front, just like every right-wing nut you've ever seen on the internet and TV. And what has the Democratic Party done about this guy, either at the national or even state level? Nothing. This is a Democrat, just like Bob McCullough, who refused to prosecute Mike Brown's killer, just like Cy Vance, who refused to prosecute so many of the killers of black people in New York, just like Anita Alvarez, who refused to prosecute the murder of Laquan McDonald, just like Tom Wine, he was the prosecutor in Louisville who refused to prosecute the murderers of Breonna Taylor, just like Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and the rest of them. And this Jacobs guy is still dreaming of winning higher office. His Facebook page has pictures of him standing in front of the Capitol. So we can all guess that he's hoping to use his obnoxious reputation as a springboard to higher office. Welcome to the age of performative extremism. People like Jacobs know that there's a lot of low IQ voters, or as he calls them, his base, who will vote for the loudest and wrongest person in the room, which is unquestionably him. And when you look at what it is that his supporters say, they sound just like every right-wing conservative you've ever heard. Now, this is all going down in Florida. As some of you know, the Republican-controlled legislature there passed a law giving the governor the ability to just arbitrarily remove any elected official he wants. DeSantis has already used this measure against Democratic opponents, mostly as a way to manufacture headlines for himself. But here you have an obnoxious pain in the rump who has a long history of making a general nuisance of himself, and he's a Democrat, and DeSantis isn't doing anything. So, predictably, this isn't about the law, certainly not with DeSantis, he can barely spell law. It's all about white fiat. This is the kind of chaos that goes on in these small towns. This is why these degenerates love places like this so much. They can get some of their inbred flunkies in office and then begin running it like their own little moonshine still. The problem is, as we've seen in so many places, black people are often the majority in the places where these kind of things happen. Why is the electorate not engaged and active? Because half of them are alienated from the process due to decades of neglect, and the other half of them gave up on having to choose from a list of self-interested con men and con women who see politics as just another career path to line their own pockets. What's called for is for black people of conscience to seek office, but that will require black voters to re-engage with the process. And that means a strongly enforced code of conduct will be required to make sure that once black people get into power, they will use that office to get black people the resources that we need. The mayor of Pembroke Park is just fine with the mudslinging that's going on. As long as she has a political office, that seems to be all that matters to her. As long as she thinks she can still climb the ladder, it doesn't matter to her that the black residents are at the bottom of it. Now that might be good enough for her, but should it be good enough for the black residents of Pembroke Park? Neither Jacobs nor this Mohammed woman are going to be of any use to the black community. It will be up to the residents to decide for themselves how much longer they want this circus to go on, or if at long last it's finally time to close down the big tent and send the clowns on their way. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Sherman Marshall, Sakina Collins, Derek, Romy, and James. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.